Welcome back to episode 10 of Take to Take. We have hit the double digits. My name is Luke Burrows. I'm joined, as usual, by Patrick Tallon and Nick Robinson. Our second show with all three of us here. We are excited to get started. It's been a week in the NHL. We've got a few events to get into, and our first, we're going to start with something that broke within the last hour. Patrick sent it to us while I was on the subway. Roman Josi, $8 million over 9 years. Or sorry, that was backwards, correct? $9 million over 8 years.
That would be it.
In Nashville. Nicholas?
Yeah, that's a bit of an interesting one to me. Obviously, Roman Josi is a highly thought of player. He's a good player. Roman Josi's fine. I'm not wild about this deal because he is going to be 30 years old when it kicks in, and therefore 38 when it ends. And making $9 million sort of in the back half of your career like that, not too sure how I feel about that. That's a big risk. And there's a full no movement clause across the 8 years, across the board. So it makes it very hard to move, although it is front loaded. That was the one thing people were pointing out, but you can't make a $9 million cap hit disappear. You can't make a no movement clause disappear. And that's weird because David Poile has historically not given out these no movement clauses. I think Roman Josi is going to be like the only player on this team that has one, which is wild. But yeah, I'm not wild about it. I don't know how you guys feel.
I would agree with that, especially in terms of the term. I think there's no denying Roman Josi is worth that kind of money when you're looking through a more short-sighted lens. But you made a good point before the show. When he comes out of this contract, he's going to be 38, you said? Is that correct?
Yep.
38. That's getting up there. So I didn't realize he was 30. That surprised me. I thought he was
that's some
younger
Mark
than that.
Edward Vlasic stuff right there.
But Patrick's currently
Pat?
trying to get our live stream up and running. Pat, do you have something to say? Or
That's a lot of term. He will be 38 when the contract is up.
Pat agrees. So
That is
Thank you for reiterating facts I stated 2 minutes ago.
no problem.
I appreciate that.
moving on to another defenseman. His last name is Carlson, not the Carlson Nick would like to talk about. But
Hey.
John Carlson has 5 goals, 16 assists, 21 points in 13 games. I don't think he's any more the top scorer in the league, but I think he's third. I very well probably am wrong about that, but he's on pace for 132 points. Obviously, that's not going to happen. But his career high is 70. That was last year. What do you guys think is going right for John Carlson right now?
Pat, did you want to start with this one?
Yeah, he's been pretty lucky. I mean, not to take anything away from his play, he has been very lucky, but I think a lot of people, I don't know, they're waiting for him to die off and to kind of tamper off with it in terms of production. But I also feel like you have to kind of tip your cap because it's actually pretty impressive for a defenseman, and no one expected of all people John Carlson to have a start of a season like this. I mean, if you look at like the first 10 games, Coffey had 20 points, and then Orr had it twice, 20 points with 18 points twice in 70 and 74, and then so Carlson's actually tied Orr within the first 10 games of October, 18 points. So it's pretty impressive to put up that production, but you know.
Yeah, he's got a 1.82 points per game average right now, and the only defenseman who's ever done that is Bobby Orr. So I wouldn't expect John Carlson to continue at this torrid pace, although obviously on a Washington team that scores a lot, I think he can continue at or near a point per game pace. I don't think that's out of the question. He's certainly improved over the past couple of years immensely. He was sort of very, very one-dimensional probably 2-3 years ago, whereas now he's definitely improved his all-around game a bit more, and he's just playing a lot better, playing a lot more confidently. So, yeah, he's having a great start to the season. Obviously, right now, if the Norris Trophy was at the quarter point of the season, he is the absolute true standalone one guy that would get it. So, yeah, good on John Carlson, but I don't think he's going to continue at a 1.82 point per game pace.
Absolutely not. Just to give some context there, though, John Carlson is tied for second with 21 points alongside Draisaitl and McDavid. Pasternak is in first, and the next defenseman after that is Roman Josi with 13. Moving on. Tarasenko is out for 5 months from what I understand is a lingering shoulder thing. Surgery has him out 5 months. That takes a hit on the Blues.
He's going to be
Reigning Cup
reevaluated in
champions.
5 months.
Yeah, takes a hit on fantasy owners.
He is having surgery, right?
Yes.
Yes, he is.
Thoughts?
Yeah, that one really hurts the Blues,
sucks.
the defending Stanley Cup champions, who are not the deepest team on the wing. They're like a solid 4-line team, but they're not the deepest in terms of their wingers. And obviously, anytime you take a guy who's scored 40 goals out of your lineup, it's going to hurt badly. I would say he's their go-to offensive weapon. And I think their power play is going to suffer to some degree, and their 5v5 chance generation is obviously it's going to hurt. Everything's going to suck. So that one does not bode well for the Blues in a really, really competitive Central Division.
Sorry, Pat, did you have something to add, or are you? I want to ask if Tarasenko is healthy, I want to ask how much faith would you guys have in the St. Louis Blues to repeat?
Again, it's difficult because it's such a competitive division that they're in, but I mean, they're playing well. They started the season pretty good, and it's the same team coming back that won the Cup last year. They kept the large part of this team together. So it's still really early to say who front runners are for the Cup, but I would have had them in the mix. I would have had them in the playoffs for sure. And, once they're in there, they've done it before, so could have done it again. But this is going to hurt that chance.
Speaking of the Cup, we will get to that shortly. We all have our Cup picks in for today. Just another level to embarrass ourselves on come April. Winnipeg and Calgary just played outdoors on Saturday. We talked about that last weekend.
Did anyone watch it?
No, I didn't.
No, okay.
Oh, sorry. Hold on. Breaking news from Elliot Friedman. To go with the injury theme from Tarasenko, he just tweeted, "Bit of a blow for the dynamic Avalanche, hearing Captain Gabriel Landeskog out indefinitely with a lower body injury." That's a bit of that tosses some more stuff into the pot there. Sort of thickens the whole thing.
Another thing, Landeskog out indefinitely.
What?
According to the chat,
Yeah.
this could just be.
Like what I just said?
I was doing the live stream. Is that what you just said?
I full on literally just said that, Pat.
So breaking news, Gabe Landeskog is out.
He just broke the news after I broke the news. Jesus, Pat.
I'm trying to get the live stream set up. All right, come on. I haven't heard a thing you guys have said. I think
literally
I got
full on just read Elliot Friedman's
But
tweet.
we are live. We are live on Twitter. No.
We're
Just
live
we
on
got- we got
Twitter
the- on
at
my
Patrick
screen.
Tallon
We're
81. If you want to,
There we go. Okay.
for some
1,000 Twitter
reason, if you
followers.
wanted to watch this happen. Okay, we'll circle back to Winnipeg, Calgary. Landeskog out. Rantanen also out. That's 2 of the 3 of Colorado's top line that was always in conversation, but I think usually second to Boston's top line. I would like to include our. Maybe we should have done Cup picks before this, but what do you guys think that does to Colorado's upcoming 7 months?
It depends how long the injury is. Obviously, we don't know that yet, but they're such a one-line team. That's the only concern with Colorado. Although they did a good job adding depth this summer, they're still very much a one-line team. And taking one of those 3 out of the one line, it's going to hurt them. So we're going to see. We haven't seen that line sort of broken apart for any extended period of time since the beginning of last season. So this is going to be a big test for them.
But Burakovsky's done well there. Kadri's been doing pretty well. He's playing second line C. I didn't know that.
Donskoy.
If out of McKinnon, Landeskog, Rantanen, if you could keep one of them, which one would you keep?
McKinnon.
Yes.
Okay. On Saturday at the Winnipeg Calgary Heritage Classic, I think that it was a Heritage Classic. Some kind of outdoor game. Lowry hit.
Killington, killing
Kylington.
Kylington. There we go.
That's how it's pronounced. Lowry hit
hold on.
Kylington.
Can I just interrupt for 1 second? So Sean Simpson, who's a radio host in Ottawa, tweeted like how the Preds signed Yossi and said the Sharks certainly overpaid on Karlsson. So I tweeted back, Erik Karlsson is twice as good as Yossi. He just quoted my tweet and said, and I quote, "You waking and baking?" ? Like I literally just got that.
What?
Yeah, like completely serious.
Big Twitter guy.
Nick
that.
also has a Twitter.
Isn't that weird? All right.
Oh,
should I tell him to tune in?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. So who did Lowry hit? It was a guy.
Kylington. Yeah. Okay.
Shillington.
Third attempt at this topic.
Oliver
Lowry
Shillington.
hits Kylington.
Oliver Kylington. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Let's try to get through this. I think I first watched it in slow motion, and I think it looks way worse. I think it is way worse than it looks. That's what I'm trying to say. For a lot of reasons, I think he definitely had time not to do what he did. You watch the play; he's up against the boards, and Lowry, like he comes in from like almost the hash marks and just kind of pinches off his like the top half of his torso there. I don't get it. And then what bothers me, and we can talk about this after I hear your guys' opinions. After hits like that, the scrum that ensues is so dangerous.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Like, I hate it. I think it's so ridiculous and it's so unsafe. And
because neither teams take that into account.
I don't
right?
see how the players are just leaping over their injured player on the ice to get into the scrum. Like, it's always the goalie that kind of gets down and tries to pull the player out because he sees what's going on. Obviously, the goalie's not going to get into it, but I'm not a fan of those post-hit scrums when there's an injured player. I think it's just...
And a lot of times, I feel like people kind of excuse sort of like variations of those hits because players can turn at the last minute, or like if their back's to the boards, they're about to turn, but that wasn't one of those instances. Like, his back was to the boards the entire time, and there was no... While watching it, you could tell he wasn't going to turn. That was just full-on...
Yeah, no,
hit.
that's
so,
what, like... that was going to happen the entire time. You're right. It's not at all like there was a last-second turn that you can kind of give some leeway to Lowry.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, confession, I didn't actually see the hit. Didn't actually see the play. Didn't watch any part of the
I don't
outdoor
blame
game.
you for not watching that game.
Yeah. Well, we had our conversation about outdoor games last week. So I didn't actually see part of it. So
we'll get your live reaction right now. Here you go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let me see it right now. Let me live react to the hit. Let's see this. Oh, sorry. Hold on. I got to go back here. Okay. Oh, man, that's dangerous. Yeah. That was right on the numbers. Yeah, that was bad.
Is the scrum in there too?
Yeah, but like
I don't know, I didn't...
that's the bad part. Like, Riddick does a good job dragging Shillington out of there. Like that was like there's 10 guys all of a sudden around him. That's so dangerous. Holy smokes.
Well, yeah, that's what I just think, I mean, again, kudos to the goalie, but
Nice
the
bat.
players have to see what's going on.
Yeah, kudos to Riddick, but yeah, that's dangerous.
There was one
What's his like injury status? Is he out or is he hurt?
I haven't heard about
anything.
him. I know obviously Lowry's out 2 games.
I didn't know about the hit until you texted me a few days ago. Like, I didn't.
Okay.
So
well, he got 2 games for it. What do you guys think about that?
I would.
Too much, too less?
No,
less,
that's
not enough.
It's not enough.
3 to
That was
4.
a bad hit.
Okay.
That was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Moving on. Also at the Heritage Classic, maybe we should have watched the game. A lot of stuff happened, even though it was a 2. I think it was 1-0 Calgary for most of the game.
Yes, and then Winnipeg tied it late and won it.
Yeah, but at least
right?
it's close though. I'd rather a close outdoor game than like a blowout.
I'd rather have like a 7-6.
So like you would have preferred that time like Montreal smashed Boston the Winter Classic. Like it would have been like you.
No,
would
I just think there's
like
more suspense to like a close game.
Got
Like
it.
I'll take the.
Was it snow? Like, was it snowing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
there
said
was a little bit of snow.
setting of the game overall was beautiful. I read, but
Attendance didn't look too good though. From pictures I saw, it looked
I'm not. I'm interested to see what viewership was because they did not hype this thing up at all.
no.
Well,
So,
yeah, I mean, we didn't know about it until last week.
Yep.
But Elliot Friedman brought up a report. I don't know if it's his or not, but the NHL again is looking into being involved with or directly creating a women's hockey league. There's not much substance to this. That's literally all it was. I'm not sure if it has anything to do with the existing leagues now, but I don't know. Do you guys
Yeah.
think it's, the NHL finally time to step up?
I think sort of everybody assumed that this was eventually gonna be something that the NHL explored when the Canadian Women's Hockey League first folded. I think that was definitely something people thought the NHL would look to, because obviously it's a big opportunity for them to get women's hockey, put their money where their mouth is, and bring it under the National Hockey League's umbrella. Although the NHL doesn't market quite as well, or it doesn't have the reach that other top 4 sports do, their reach is far superior to that of compared to what the women's league was.
Yeah.
So if Gary Bettman and the NHL are really serious about this, I think this is a fantastic step for women's hockey, and getting the attention and coverage that it deserves to have. So, like you said, not much substance to it. There hasn't been much report on it other than headlines on Sportsnet this weekend.
It was pretty short too. He said Bettman has been pretty consistent about this. He won't get. He says he will not get involved as long as the NWHL is still playing and in operation. But if anything changes, Bettman has to have a plan.
Right. So, going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Let's hope.
He said, I think 6 teams and then maybe 2 in Canada.
What do we think? Toronto, Montreal, probably?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah,
Cool.
okay.
Yeah.
That would work. So, yeah. That's good.
Okay.
Go women's hockey.
So, moving away from kind of news now, I've asked you guys to prepare your most surprising players in both a good way and a bad way.
What do we start with, good or bad?
Let's start with
Let's start with good.
good. Nick, you can go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, well, we talked about him a lot already. Like, my good surprise was Carlson, but I prepared a backup just because I knew we were going to talk about him a lot. Like, John Carlson's fantastic start to the season. My good backup is Jack Eichel. Very surprising. The Buffalo Sabres are a lot better than people thought they were going to be. They showed glimpses last year of being a good hockey team during that 10-game winning streak. But so far, even their shot rates and their special teams are all better this year. And the focal point of that has been Jack Eichel. I think he's finally starting to get the attention and show the promise that he did when he was drafted, that he was supposed to have. So, yeah, I think Jack Eichel has been my good surprise this season. Good for him. He's finally getting the credit he deserves out in Buffalo.
I would agree, but I also think, Eichel's having a good year, but there's a lot of guys on Buffalo that are stepping up, and I think Buffalo is the real deal this year. Maybe not as much as they are right this second. They're doing very well, but their goaltending, their defense to an extent, I think Buffalo's looking good. Patrick.
I have JT Miller.
Yes. I like that one. That's a
that
good one.
That's a
I know
good
Luke
one.
likes that one.
13 points, 13 games. He's done very well.
He is also the Canucks leader
11
in
games.
No, 13 games.
He also has the best 5v5 shot rates amongst Canucks skaters. So, yeah, good for JT Miller. He's really doing a good job driving play in that top 6, which I don't think a lot of us
11 games.
11
figured
games,
he was
sorry.
going to do, but he's playing really well.
11 games, not 13, my mistake. And then I knew we were already going to talk about Carlson, and then James Neal, but there's another one we can mention as well.
Yeah, Carlson, Neal are kind of the standouts, but
Yeah.
under that,
Luke, did you have anybody?
I do. I have. I asked you guys pronunciation on this before. Mikheyev, for all the Leafs fans out there, who I think are the majority of our listeners.
Hi, guys.
For who he is and for what he was expected to be, I think he's been obviously a pleasant surprise for the Leafs team that overall I think has been an unpleasant surprise.
We'll take it.
Unless you're one of us that
It's pretty good.
maybe like to see them get a little reality check.
Yeah, welcome back to Leafs Slander Radio again on Take to Take.
But 4 and 6, 10 points in 13 games. I mean,
He's been good.
as it is.
Yes.
It's nothing super special, but for like I said, for who he is, that's been a good surprise, I think.
Obviously, I think he's slowing down a bit. He hasn't, he started like a house on fire and was scoring a lot in his first couple games. Obviously, he's slowing up a bit, but I think if you told a Leaf fan that he was going to score 35, 40 points a year, I think they gladly would have taken that. So he's pretty much on pace to
I
finish
wouldn't be
around that.
surprised if there's Leafs fans out there arguing that he is going to, but
Yeah.
they're a little.
There's probably Leaf fans out
little
there that
delusional
are
at
telling
times.
people he's going to score 60 points this year, which it's not going to happen, but
Surprising bad.
Surprising bad. Sorry, Pat, you go ahead.
I have Bobrovsky. 'Cause he has
yeah,
an
he's been
870
bad.
save
He's been
percentage.
bad. Yeah.
Both of them.
And he was-
Vancouver shelled. Last night was interesting, actually. They put in 3 on 9 on Montembeau.
Well done.
Bobrovsky came in. This was all in the first, and then Montembeau came back and started the second again. Anyways, it was a 7-2 win for
Yeah,
Vancouver.
Bobrovsky was said to be the panacea for Florida and 870. Quick as well, but like I feel like Quick. People kind of accepted that he's
Quick's bad.
I'm
He's
upset with
849 save
I'm
percentage.
upset with Florida. I really thought Florida was going to do well. It's kind of surprising that they're not. Well, yeah, it is very surprising that they're not. Again, it's early. I mean, when are we going to stop saying it's early? But
After 20 games?
It's
I don't know.
early to me till 25 games.
Yeah.
okay, so
2025
by
is
Nick
fine.
and Patrick's standards, it is early. But no, Florida, Bobrovsky.
At this point, teams should start to get into like the swing of things, and we should stop. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But
eventually we'll stop saying it's early.
And
Okay.
Quick. No one's talking about how bad Quick is. I feel like
Well, the whole team is bad.
yeah, but
Yeah.
849.
Jonathan Quick is brutal.
849 save percentage. That's not.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to shock the hell out of you guys right now. My surprising bad is Erik Karlsson. So I've gone on the
Sorry,
radio
can I just say that that's
preaching,
mine as well.
preaching the holy gospel of Erik Karlsson before on this show. But wow, after signing that big contract extension with the San Jose Sharks, he has been pretty poor to start the season. In his defense, so has the entire San Jose team. I think they've completely flopped. If you're a Senators fan, you love to see it because we've got their first round pick this year. But yeah, San Jose's been very disappointing so far. But particularly Karlsson, last year was 11th in the league in his wins above replacement, and he only played 55 games or so like that. So he was the 11th most valuable player in the league analytically, and he only played just over half a season. This year, though, like, man, his defensive play just looks really weak. Like, I know people have been...
Did you see his performance against Ottawa the other night?
Of course I did. He was on the ice for all 5 goals. It was pretty crazy. But yeah, for a player who's been, at times, I think, unfairly criticized for his defensive play, because he's been a solid defensive player for, I would say, since his first 2-3 years in the league now. So for 6 or 7 years, he's been just a fine defensive player. I don't think anybody's ever expected him to be an absolute shutdown player. That's never what he is. That's never.
He's an offensive defenseman.
Right.
We want to talk about that again.
Correct.
I ever feel we do this every single show.
But to be playing this poor, I think this is his worst stretch of defensive play since his sophomore season when he was with Ottawa.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been pretty surprising to me that he started that way. I don't expect him to continue and just have a terrible year like this, but it's certainly surprising to me.
Mine as well was Erik Karlsson, 8 points in 11 games. He is Norris caliber, and he should he should be Norris caliber. He's that kind of defense. There's no denying that, and he just straight up he should be playing like one. He had a terrible game against Ottawa, like I said, but it's making Sens management look pretty smart right now, which is something that doesn't happen.
No,
very often.
it's not.
Okay,
Considering
no, it's not,
if you consider what
That
we
was
got for
stupid.
him, it's still Ottawa looks dumb as hell.
Hey, Nick Paul had a nice goal.
He had 2 nice goals in that
Okay,
game.
2.
Nick Paul's playing well. That's been my good surprise. The 4 games of Nick Paul this year, and he's actually played good. It's nice to see.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Okay, I have a question that I did not warn you guys about. They're coming in cold to this.
Love to see this.
Which team in the league should be most worried right now? And I'm not talking about the Sens or the Red Wings, who they're reasonably right where they should be. But I'm talking about teams that should be good but have got off to
Dallas.
That was my answer, man. I'll go with my second then. Yeah, they got off to a rough start. Pat, I'll let you start with Dallas.
Dallas, yeah, it's weird. Bradulov only has a handful of points. Pavelski's not doing too well. Just their star players aren't really producing, and they just look pretty terrible. So,
yeah, I would agree. I think I always figured when Dallas is struggling, that top line is the kind of top line that can sort of carry them through and still make them a decent enough team to compete. But Dallas is just having a not good October. And my second, which I'll go to because Pat stole my first, and maybe not
your first.
Maybe not to the same extent, but New Jersey. I think New Jersey.
Yeah.
I think New Jersey definitely needs to be better than they are. I thought they had a pretty decent offseason, and not even including the draft.
They're going to lose Taylor Hall like this.
Elaborate.
His contract is up at the end of the year. If they keep playing like this, he's gone.
Yep.
There's no way he's staying there, right?
Okay. Yeah, I thought they had a very good offseason. I think they need to be way better than they are. Nick, yours.
Mine would be, I touched on earlier, San Jose Sharks. They have not only gotten bad goaltending, like they've been getting bad goaltending now for, I would say, the 2 seasons prior to this and in the playoffs, but they were a dominant team at even strength and had a great power play the past 2 years. But this year, they are completely underperforming in like all aspects of the ice. At 5v5, they've been the second worst team in the National Hockey League besides the New York Rangers. Like, they've been terrible. They've looked terrible. And with a team that has invested a lot into veteran players, they've got $8 million on Burns, $8 million on Vlasic, 11 on Carlson, 8 on Couture. Like, I can sit here and go on. Like, that's hugely concerning.
Who would you point fingers at there?
First and foremost, I'd point them at Doug Wilson because I think it's inexcusable that he's come in with this goaltending tandem again of Dell and Jones. Like, it's such a naive thing to do, to come in with them just hoping they'd be better again.
Jones has given some reason to think, like, okay, maybe he can be
Sure, he did a couple of years ago. Like, his first year as a starter when they went to the Cup final, like, he was great. But the past 2 seasons before this one, like, he has not been good. Neither has Dell. And I think it was completely naive. It's sort of like how the Leafs are, and all we hear about now in Toronto is the Leafs goaltending, specifically pointing fingers at Mike Hutchinson. I think it's...
Did anyone see the game on Saturday?
Montreal beat Toronto, score of 5-2, and Mike Hutchinson was in goal.
But I think it's completely crazy that Doug Wilson came in with this goaltending tandem again. I think he's a good GM. I still like how he worked his way around some of his cap hell this summer, but I think it's crazy that he came back with these guys just thinking, hey, I hope you're better this year. And surprise, surprise, they have not been better.
Yeah, that's fair. And I just want to add, when I was trying to pick a team for this, I was going to say the Rangers. And then I went to look at the Rangers lineup, and they're just not a good team. They're a lot worse than I thought they were just looking at their lineup, and I thought I should add that because I guess blindly figured over the offseason with their additions that they were going to be good, but no, it is fair to assume that they're not.
Speaking of Rangers, and to go back to surprising good, you could also put Mika Zibanejad because he's had a pretty good start to the season as well.
Has he done anything since he scored a hat trick against Ottawa?
I don't know. There could be some recency bias in what I just said, but he
Probably.
has.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Cool.
Cup picks.
Yay, let's look stupid.
We will make these, we will write these down, and we'll circle back.
We will play these again in April when we're wrapping up this show, second semester, and the playoffs are coming up, and we all feel like looking stupid. We're going to play these again.
Who wants to start? Patrick
I'll
does.
look dumb first. The Colorado Avalanche.
Cool.
Oh, Luke, was that yours too?
Nope.
Oh.
But what's your explanation?
I think they're a good team. And,
all right, fair enough.
got some good offense. They got some good defense.
Well, they don't have good offense for a little while.
Well,
Okay, Pat. Okay, all right. Nick.
I don't know if it's hot or not. Washington Capitals.
Ooh, that's interesting.
I think they're going to sort out the goaltending. Looks like Braden Holtby's already turning a corner after everybody was shitting on him for being terrible. Sorry, I think that's the first time I've ever sworn on the show.
Yeah.
After everybody was just being really mean to him for 3 or 4 bad starts to start the year, he's already turning a corner. I think their defensive group is good, and of course, Alexander Ovechkin is Alexander Ovechkin. I can totally see the Washington Capitals winning the Stanley Cup again.
Okay, Avalanche Capitals. Mine is the Nashville Predators. I just think, aside from Subban, who did they really lose? That's kind of would be important for a cup run. Obviously, they've been on the doorstep for like half a decade now, probably, and I think they're going to get one with the core they have now. I don't see how they wouldn't. Like they're that good, and they've made it close. So it's not like they're well, I guess you could say they're snake bitten in the playoffs, but still, I have the Predators.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. The Predators had a good offseason. I think players like Matt Duchene and who else they had? They added somebody else good. Matt Duchene obviously like gives them like really, really formidable center depth, and I think that's key.
Yeah, no, and I think Yossi. It's early, but Yossi performing the way he is, and Subban wasn't even. I don't know. I won't get into that, but Subban.
well, no, he wasn't what?
Oh, jeez, you.
No, I'm just curious. No, he wasn't what though.
I don't think he was. I don't think he was a key piece. Like
in the first year, he was when they went all the way.
Oh wait, yeah, sure,
When they
way
went to
back.
the
But no, Yossi.
Eastern-
I think Yossi's picking. Yossi's more than picking up the slack now. I think they're more than fine. They're on defense.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Duchene's a point per game.
Is he?
Yep.
Quietly. He hasn't scored much,
No
right?
one's really. Only 2 goals, but he has 9 assists. So.
Nice. Good for him.
yeah.
Nice guy.
Yep.
I like him.
Yep. As do I.
This morning, I read an article on The Athletic. Did you, either of you, again, I've not prompted Nick or Patrick with this, did either of you read the Taves schedule article?
Nope.
Perfect.
I don't have the Athletic. I should really do that.
You don't have the Athletic.
Maybe we get the show sponsored by The Athletic. That'd be cool.
I think that it's Dan Robson is a teacher in our program.
Yeah.
Here it's for the Athletic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll
I think we can
call
get him to sponsor us.
So,
Nobody take this idea. This is our idea.
yeah, Cam and
Nobody
we're looking
take
at
this.
Is it,
you. Mark Lazarus wrote an article
Also a nice guy.
about the Taves schedule. Essentially what it was, he kind of segued it saying, using Taves as an example, a vocal example of someone who isn't happy with, well, I shouldn't say that, who thinks there is a better way to go about the NHL schedule. And the example given was similar to the way the MLB works with series. So the games played against each team are the same, but like it's pretty self-explanatory. But essentially, for the Canucks, if you were playing the Flames, you would go to Calgary at one point in the year and play all your
Games versus
Canucks
Calgary.
at Flames games in Calgary. They'll come to you. So like 3-3 or whatever. There's lots of numbers in the article, but it saves on travel time. It saves on a big part of it actually was emissions from travel. But
Yeah, that
was
would
kinda
totally
cool.
reduce the
That'd be
NHL's
cool.
Yeah.
carbon
That's neat.
footprint, right? That's great.
Yeah, and like player fatigue, everything like that. There was an example schedule. They used the Blackhawks in the article. There's an example schedule. It looked a little funny because they said, and in the MLB, similar, when you go on the road, you're on the road for quite a while. When you come home,
Right,
you're home
yeah.
for quite a while.
Right.
Whereas in the NHL,
it's really sporadic.
maybe like Vancouver might do a jump to Alberta and play 2 games there, or go down to California for 3 games, come back for a game at home, whatever. But I don't know. I want to know what you guys were thinking on that. There were 3 reasons in the article why it will never happen. I won't tell you those quite yet, but
Well, how would that work for like back-to-backs and stuff?
What do you mean?
Like they wouldn't do 3. They would do Like if you think about if Montreal plays Toronto 4 times a season, they'd play all 4 within
A certain number of days.
yeah.
Yeah.
So-
would you end up doing like
Like-
3 games back to back to back, or back to
Or
back
would
to
you
back
do
to
No,
back?
I
a
don't-
space
I
between each
don't-
one, or
I'm gonna bring
space
up the
between
article,
2,
but
and then
I think
That's the only,
I think
like-
the spacing would be pretty similar. At most, it would be 3 and 4. which
Okay.
okay, yeah,
That's
all
not
right.
terrible.
Yeah,
that's
not
like
bad,
currently what you get.
I'm just
so.
I'm gonna find it now. But yeah, so I don't know, thoughts.
Yeah,
like
that's
it's
cool.
interesting.
I like that. Yeah, I like the whole principle of it. If the players, if it gets them to spend more time with their families and stuff when they're at home for longer periods of time,
And emissions wise, like
emissions wise,
pretty
like
cool.
that's fantastic.
from a fan perspective, though, I feel like it's nice to have a break between when you're going to play a certain team to go back and visit that city, or
Right.
that city to come visit you after, say, however many months and stuff like that. That'd be from a fan perspective, but from like that makes sense for emissions and everything else to do it that way. But
So,
I don't know, like
For example, I've been talking with my dad now for a couple of years about going up one weekend to Detroit to see the Senators play. I think that would be more worth it if I were to make the hike all the way up to Detroit and I get to go see 2 Sens games versus Detroit when they're there.
Yeah.
Because that's all the games they play in Detroit
Right.
for the year. That would be cool. I think, yeah, it depends. If you can get fan engagement with it, if you can keep attendance numbers the way they are, I think that's a cool thing to do.
cool.
So the example schedule for Chicago on the article, I'll just read out like the first few games just to give you an idea. It starts with 3 against Colorado at home. And then there's 6 on the road against Calgary, then Winnipeg, then Edmonton. Come back home for 2 against Vegas. 3 on the road against St. Louis. Come home for 1 against Florida. 6 on the road. So
That seems like more.
it's just I think the key takeaway is it's less 1 and 2s. There's only 2 throughout the whole season where Chicago goes away for 1 game. They have it against Boston and Philadelphia, but regardless, those are kind of nearby. But they make a good point because when they get to how much travel time teams save, it varies widely. And just to give you actually an example on the emissions number, 15.5 million fewer pounds of CO2 pumped into the atmosphere.
Wow.
But
Now, I think the problem with that, I'm not sure if the article outlines this, you'd have to get the NBA on board because,
Yeah.
And
for
I'm gonna-
example,
yeah,
you
you-
have a team like Toronto.
you make a very good point.
Exactly. They're going to be, say they have like a 7 or 8 game homestand there, and you have to play it in a certain number of nights. What does that do for the Toronto Raptors, right?
Yeah. So
That's the thing you'd have to get the other leagues on board with it.
So there are 3 reasons why they figure this will never happen. One being, like you said, arena availability. Obviously, NHL games aren't the only thing to happen in arenas.
concerts and
They've
everything else.
concerts. They've got other pro sports. It would be a scheduling nightmare to try to figure that out. To try to say, like, to tell Scotiabank Arena, okay, the Leafs are here for like 10 straight nights. Obviously, that wouldn't happen, but you're right. Like, the NBA would have to be on board. Everyone would have to kind of work around it. And I just think for that reason alone, it's not going to happen. Another reason is marketing. In terms of the example they used was it's fun to have Kane and Crosby and McDavid come to your city multiple times a year. It's difficult to market to your fan base when you say, these players are here for one big weekend instead of multiple times throughout the year. Maybe I shouldn't say it's more difficult, but it would definitely be a totally different marketing, process to try to figure out how to work that because, as a even someone in their own conference, as a Canucks fan, when McDavid comes to Vancouver once a year, it's going to be a little trickier to sell 60,000 tickets in one weekend to see McDavid. The third reason is TV responsibilities, broadcasting rights. For example, NBC likes to put Chicago on Wednesday nights, which already causes some confusion now with scheduling, but kind of aligning the series type schedule for television rights doesn't really work out either. So I mean, it's a cool idea, and I think the players would like it, but there's a few reasons why, it wouldn't work. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
moving on. Let's talk about our teams, non-Leaf teams.
Okay, serious
Oh,
question
okay.
to start this off.
Jeez.
Are the Canucks actually good? They're playing
They're playing
good.
very well.
They're playing good, and I'm starting to really ask myself, are they for real? Because you said on the first episode we did that you thought they were going to make the playoffs over the Sharks, and I nearly jumped over this desk to hit you. But man, you look really smart for that right now.
Yes, I do. Yeah, the Canucks. I don't know. I obviously want to say, yeah, they're good. But at the same time, I want to say, no. Like, still a few more years to go. But everything they did in the offseason is kind of paying off. Their goalies are playing incredible.
They just added depth. Like it's
It's
pretty simple. Like
I don't know where I'm going to say it would fall apart. The only thing I would say maybe, and usually for the past few years it's been issues on defense, but Hughes and Edler have been playing incredible, different lines. Tanev has been Tanev. I don't know what reasons I would give for them not being a good team. Obviously,
top
I'm going
six is fine. Even
give
like
it more time.
Brandon Sutter's fine.
The issue is the top one is fine, whoever that is. The bottom,
Pearson, Horvat, Virtanen.
no, Pedersen. Well, I prefer.
I'm on Daily.
I
Daily
prefer
Faceoff has
Pedersen, Miller,
Besser.
Besser. That's
Okay.
good. And then their fourth line is producing like Schaller is having a like
Beagle and Erickson. Yeah.
yeah. Well, not Erickson. He just played a game last night, but no, Schaller and not so much Beagle, but their fourth line is producing as much as you'd expect them to. It's their middle six that I would.
Brandon Sutter's been pretty good. Like, surprisingly. Like, he scored a few
for
goals.
his standards, yeah, I guess.
He scored a few goals this series. That's better than you could have hoped for, right?
I mean, now, yeah, but when they picked him up, I would have expected that to be a
Yeah, of course.
reasonable
But, like,
expectation.
now, like, that's what I'm meaning.
Yeah,
like,
okay,
right
yeah.
now, he's doing more than you would have thought he would be doing.
yeah, sure.
Quinn Hughes looks like the real deal.
Oh, he absolutely is
Yeah,
the real
he
deal.
He's good. He's good.
And again, I'm super happy with the goaltending right now.
Yeah, as long as Markstrom can stay healthy, I think the Canucks could make
Yeah,
a
and
good
knock
run at
on
this.
wood, Markstrom has been pretty good injury-wise, so
The NHL needs more good Canadian teams, so I'm all for the Canucks being actually good.
love
that would
it.
be
We're
cool.
all on board.
Pat,
I don't have much to say. I would like to talk.
is Jonathan Drouin good again?
I will talk about Jonathan Drouin briefly. Last year, he just took every question from the media about why he's so bad and why he had such a terrible season, and why I don't know. People thought they were going to run him out of town, which would make sense considering it's Montreal. But he's looked very good this season, defensively, offensively. He looks committed. He's forechecking, doing all the stuff I've never seen him do before. I'm very impressed with Jonathan Drouin. I hope he keeps it up. They changed the lines a little bit, which I'm not a big fan of. I would like to see Jesperi Kotkaniemi get some better wingers at some point. But
Is that the problem with him? It's his wingers?
I'd say it's a factor.
Okay.
I'm not sure that Paul Byron on your wing is going to, help his offense. But anyway, I thought Drouin and Kotkaniemi looked really good together. Drouin moved up to with Domi, which is fine. But no, I'm very impressed with Jonathan Drouin. This is coming from someone who didn't like the trade. I didn't like losing Mikhail Sergachev. There's a bigger need for Sergachev even now than Drouin on Montreal, but I am impressed with Drouin's play. And they beat the Leafs on Saturday, so I can't really complain.
Yeah, actually, I checked.
5-2.
Vancouver walloped the Panthers last night. Montreal just beat Toronto on Saturday, and Ottawa just beat
San Jose.
San Jose on Sunday, 5-2 as well.
Everybody's happy.
We're all happy. It's a good time to be fans of the Canucks, Sens, and Habs.
I mean,
not a good time to be. A
but
fan
then
of the
again,
Leafs, but
Do I want wins or do I want
yeah, that's a good point.
Quentin Byfield or Alexi Lafreniere? Gotta weigh this up. But you know what? Maybe we'll get them both if San Jose continues to suck.
Yeah,
Wouldn't
really.
that be something? Ha ha ha! Colorado Avalanche. We ended up fine. Yeah. Sens. Interesting stuff going on. Obviously, I think the big story with us is the scratching of Bobby Ryan against San Jose because they ended up playing their best game of the season without him, which is real interesting. And judging on practice lines today, it does not look like he's going to be featured in line rush as much ahead of our game this coming Saturday, which is against somebody. I forget now. But yeah, it doesn't look like Bobby Ryan is going to be in the Senators lineup for the
Are
next
you happy with
few
that?
games.
Bruins Saturday.
Analytically, Bobby Ryan still drives play a lot more than some of our forwards do. But I like that. I do like that taking him out or demoting him to the third or fourth line allows Anthony Duclair, Brady Tkachuk, and whoever else we have up there to get more ice time. I do like that. And Anthony Duclair is thriving right now. He looks like again, I think that was a steal of a pickup in the Dzingel trade, because I think on Anthony Duclair's best day, he is Ryan Dzingel. So that's going to be interesting.
I think and Vancouver fans can relate to scratching a multi-million-dollar
player. But as soon as Bobby Ryan got demoted, he was playing with the top line for a bit, and they've demoted him. Anthony Duclair's gone up there now, and he's playing really well. So I'm happy. And Logan Brown, again, another player I didn't mention, he's getting more ice time because of Bobby Ryan not being on the first power play unit. So good stuff.
And it's the Bruins
also,
on Saturday. Sens play the Bruins on Saturday.
Also underratedly, Connor Brown playing very well. He has 10 points, which I don't think anybody would have thought at this point. He's leading the Senators in points.
I didn't know that.
He's playing good. His offense was really limited in Toronto, and I don't think he was necessarily bad in Toronto. I just think they couldn't afford to have $2.1 million on their third and fourth line, right? So I think that was a good gamble for Ottawa. I think I probably pissed on it too much, as did most of Senators fans when they threw him in with the Zaitsev CC deal. But if we can turn Connor Brown into just a bit more of an effective offensive middle six player, because he's already pretty good at penalty killing and okay in his own zone, I think again, that's a fine player to have moving forward.
Luke,
so I'm happy.
So desperately trying to say
we have just under 3 minutes left. I think we should turn into the skid and embrace our Leafs slander. What do you guys think's going on there? They are not having a good time. Obviously, some injuries.
They're not going to win with Babcock. I'm just going to say.
Yeah,
I'm just joking. I think he's getting too much. He's taking all the heat for them right now, and I've said this before. I still think it was completely naive of them to try and make Cody Ceci work, because it's not working. And I think I've seen a lot of things about their back-to-backs and how they've performed very poorly in the second half of their back-to-back games.
I've heard a lot about
Carolina
their
had the
schedule.
exact same amount of back-to-backs and they won. So
Cool.
if you're a good
There's
team,
always teams that
That's
have,
what I think. The Leafs, as talented as they are, should be able... I get not winning all the back-to-backs. I get that. But
that doesn't
they're
only
a
happen to
talented
Toronto,
team.
yeah.
And they should be able to make it work. Obviously, I don't think we can fully judge them till they get Dermott, Hyman, and Tavares back. I think then we'll get a good read on what exactly the Toronto Maple Leafs are. But if Travis Dermott comes back and Riley Ceci is still a thing, then Mike Babcock is crazy and should be thrown in jail.
Yep, I think if Carolina had the exact same amount of back-to-backs and they had no problem. If you have players making over $10 million and are as elite as everyone says they are, then you're going to be tired, but every team has back-to-backs, and that shouldn't always be the excuse. The league is not out to get Toronto, just like the playoff format is not out to get Toronto either.
Also, quickly, last thing I'll say on it, for all the slander that William Nylander got,
He's playing
fair or
very
unfair
well.
last year, he's playing well this year.
Nylander's playing
and
very
Mitch Marner is playing extremely poorly. He does not have barely any points at even strength. He's performed unbelievably poorly. So that's kind of refreshing to see, because Twitter's been awfully quiet on the Marner and Nylander front
touch on
lately.
Marner, but I was impressed with Nylander from what I've seen and what I've read. I think he's doing pretty well.
So good for him. He seems like a nice lad.
And I think, like we touched on earlier, unfortunately for Leafs, it comes down to their goaltending, not so much Freddie Anderson, more their backup. And I can't really think of a solution to that. I'm not really sure what they're going to do there, because if they do have lots of back-to-backs, they're going to have to work that out somehow. So,
all right. Well, that's pretty much it for today. Good episode, guys. That was fun.
Yeah.
I like doing this.
Yeah, I think we'll be back next week.
And
Yeah.
the week after?
Probably.
Maybe.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for listening to Take on Spirit Live, and we will catch you all next week. Have a good